Picture this, January 24th, the year 41, the heart of the Roman Empire, the imperial palace, is a scene of pure chaos. Screams echo down marble corridors, soldiers run in every direction, and a single, terrifying rumor spreads like wildfire. The emperor is dead. Gaius Caesar, a man history will forever know as Caligula, has been assassinated. His reign was short, less than 4 years, but in that time, he managed to turn the world's most powerful empire on its head. When Caligula first came to power, he was a breath of fresh air. He followed the long and often gloomy reign of Emperor Tiberius, and the people of Rome were desperate for hope. Young, charismatic, the son of the beloved general Germanicus, seemed like the perfect ruler. For a brief moment, it looked like a golden age was dawning. But that hope didn't last long. It began to curdle, turning into suspicion, then fear, and finally, outright hatred. The ancient writers, like Suetonius and Cassius Dio, paint a chilling picture. They describe an emperor who became increasingly erratic, a ruler who seemed to delight in humiliating the powerful senators who were, at least in theory, his partners in governing. He played cruel games with them, mocked their traditions, and made it clear that their authority meant nothing to him. He distrusted his own military commanders, seeing potential rivals in every successful general. And most dangerously, he ruled his own bodyguards, the elite Praetorian Guard, not through loyalty, but through fear. Now, whether every story about him is true, the horse he supposedly wanted to make a consul, the incestuous relationships, the claims of divinities debated by historians, but in the end, the truth didn't matter as much as the perception. By the beginning of AD 41, Caligula had made enemies of everyone who mattered. He was a man sitting on a throne of gasoline, playing with matches, and on January 24th, the explosion came. Caligula was returning from the Palatine Games, walking down a private, underground hallway in the palace. It was a route he took often, a place where he should have been safest, but his enemies were waiting. A group of Praetorian guards, led by an officer named Cassius Chaerea, whom Caligula had relentlessly mocked, blocked his path. The first blow was swift and unexpected. Then, another, and another. The attack was brutal, personal, and over in seconds. The emperor, the supposed living god, lay dead on the cold stone floor, stabbed over 30 times, but the violence didn't end there. The assassination unleashed a wave of pent-up fury. The conspirators, along with other guards, stormed through the palace, hunting down anyone loyal to the fallen emperor. It was a bloody purge. In the chaos, they found Caligula's wife, Melonia Caesonia, and their infant daughter, Julia Drusilla. They were shown no mercy. The assassins killed them both, a cold-blooded act to ensure that Caligula's direct line was completely erased. No heir could return to seek vengeance. With the emperor and his family dead, Rome was thrown into a state of unprecedented crisis. There was no plan, no designated successor. For the first time in decades, the empire was leaderless. A flicker of an old idea sparked in the Senate. Could this be it? Could they turn back the clock? For a few hours, the senators debated passionately about restoring the republic, bringing back the old system of elected officials and shared power that had been dead for nearly a century. They made speeches, they argued, they hesitated. It was a ghost of Rome's past, playing out one last time. But while the politicians talked, the soldiers acted. The Praetorian Guard, the same men who had just murdered one emperor, knew that their power and their substantial depended on having another. Back in the ransacked palace, a group of guards were searching room by room. And then, one of them noticed a pair of feet sticking out from behind a large curtain. He pulled the fabric aside and found a man cowering in fear, convinced he was about to be killed. This was Claudius. Claudius was Caligula's uncle, a man in his early 50s who had spent his entire life being overlooked. He had a limp, a stammer, and was considered by his own family to be a bit of an embarrassment. He was a scholar, a historian, but no one, least of all Claudius himself, ever thought of him as a political player. He was the forgotten member of the imperial family, the one left out of the loop. And in that moment, hiding behind a curtain, he was probably the most terrified man in Rome. But the guards didn't see a weakling. They saw an opportunity. They saw a surviving member of the imperial dynasty. In one of history's most bizarre turns of events, they lifted the trembling Claudius onto their shoulders and proclaimed him the new emperor. They marched him to their camp, effectively holding him under their protection. When the Senate heard the news, their debate about restoring the republic instantly became meaningless. What choice did they have? The army had made its decision. The senators could either accept Claudius, the man chosen by the assassins, or face the Praetorian Guard's swords. Reluctantly, they confirmed Claudius as the new emperor. The crisis was over. The empire would continue. The assassination of Caligula was more than just the end of a tyrannical reign. It was a defining moment that laid bare the new reality of Roman power. The old institutions, the Senate, the laws, the traditions still existed. But real, absolute power no longer came from a vote or a noble bloodline. It came from the tip of a spear. An emperor ruled by consent of the legions and, most importantly, the guards in his own palace.